Muslims majority states are post-colonial states. Their constitution has been put together either a replica of a European country's constitution or a European with adding few elements of American constitution, and then on top of it you put Bismillah, and the primary or the religion of the state is Islam. Right? But everything else within the state, from education structure, tell me what type of education you have, I'll tell you what type of a state you have. Okay, our education is either a British model, British French model, depending on which colonial, or increasingly American model that is there. So that's what our educational structure. If you think about the constitutions, again, even the most recent, if you think about the Afghan constitution and Iraqi constitution, drafted by American experts with consultation of Muslims, and that's what we have. So not even going through the what you call the process of saying it is not. It's actually, that's how it's been drafted. And most of the colonial state, their constitutions drafted, but they have to, what you call, give a nod to the native populations, the indigenous population that still have an attachment to Islam. So you throw in there, Islam is the religion of the state. And problematically so, because some of these political parties and some of these political elites, they actually are the quintessential contradiction relative to what an Islamic political figure or society should be. And then structurally, we also know that there is a two different tracks, legal tracks within many of these post-colonial Muslim states. You have the civil code, which basically is just a replication with a Swiss code, German code, British code, French, and so on, or American code. And then you have the Sharia court. So the Sharia court, you only deal with marriage, divorce, inheritance, and some personal issues, which in essentially was the same type of legal structure that was there during the colonial era. You remember, for those who study India or Egypt and so on, there were Sharia courts under the British, where the natives, the unsophisticated, quote, you send them to the Sharia court, and you leave the more important issues for the colonial administrators and the civil courts that are there to protect and keep the best interest of the colonial state. So in essence, it creates the contradictions. It creates this tension within the society. And this is also my notion that even our understanding and relations to Islam and Sharia in Muslim majority state was shaped by the colonial structure, because what we today consider to be the exercise and the use of and the engagement with Islam is confined to only a very limited area. So if you're a Muslim, scholars and so on, you don't engage in the economy. That is left for what you call the sophisticated bunch. That possibly trained in the Sorbonne or London School of Economics or Harvard or Yale, because they know better. They know how to actually destroy your economy much better. They know how to work for the IMF and the World Bank. They know how to create the neoliberal modalities. But as a Muslim scholar, you just deal with marriage and divorce. You just go and deal with these things, which results in Muslim subjects themselves beginning to actually think of the home domain as the only place where they could exercise, quote, power. So you could actually also intensify gender relations, patriarchal relations in that way, because you have no scope of input in the economy, you have no scope of input in civil society, you have no scope of input on education, you have no scope of input in media and media discourses. And so the only place that the state itself and their secular custodians from trained in all these Western universities, they want to keep you there because it's also authenticate their, quote, progressive credentials. Because every time that they're in a crisis, they say, you see, you want us to bring this person in there that basically is using the biggest miswak in order for them to actually keep their wife, daughter, so on in line. So it ends up actually affirming the post-colonial secular Eurocentric elite in their position, because they always have a ready cluster of participants in what they call to be traditional backward Islam and Islamic conceptualization. So this structure of the modern Muslim states of slapping Islam in various parts of the constitutions or regulations, I see it as a problem. I'd rather for them say we're post-colonial secular state like France and Germany, and not to actually create the type of contradictions, duplicity, pernicious relationship with Islam, and you end up actually destroying even the understanding of how a Muslim should live their life in a Muslim majority state. So that's what I say, we are Muslim bodies that are existing in our own society with a Eurocentric mindset that negates the essence of who we are. And we're going around almost like on a 24/7 seeking a therapy to get our authentic self to emerge. And our Islam becomes a performative aspect to the daily life that we exercise rather than living our life through our own lens. So maybe individuals who read W.D. Du Bois on double consciousness, Muslims do experience double consciousness. We are living, actually, if you're double consciousness, that's a good case. It's like we have split personalities as a paradigm in our own societies. And that contradiction is structural. It's not an individual, it's a structural aspect of how the society is organized.